So thank you all so much for coming. This is the encore presentation of my TEDx talk that I did in April of communicating intuitively with animals, more than sit, stay, down from there. And it was just a message that I wanted to give again. So I'm glad to be here at Rowen Tree. So thank you, Kate, thank you, Amy, thank you, Rowen Tree, for this amazing space. And I also have quite a few sponsors to thank. So I want to thank my sponsors, and then we'll go ahead and get on with the talk, and then have some question and answer after that. Sound good? All right. So for my amazing sponsors, I want to start off with Clark Virtual Business Solutions with Ronald and Wentz. And Clark Virtual Business Solutions is a virtual assistant service helping entrepreneurs with day-to-day administration and marketing of their business. F22 Video Solutions, Alexis Doty, owner of F22 Solutions, Video Solutions, a full video production company for nonprofits, entrepreneurs, and businesses, specializing in capturing the memories of our older generation and presentation. So she is the one who is graciously doing the video today, and we'll also be placing that on YouTube as well. So thank you, Alexis. And Tiffany Ford from Coldwell Banker Real Estate. Tiffany is passionate about helping Northern Virginia residents find the perfect space for their families, no matter how many legs, paws, claws, feathers, fins, or scales their family members have. Thank you, Tiffany. Heal and Deal LLC, Eileen Giovia mentors cancer patients and their caregivers to be empowered and to learn to laugh again. She also teaches friends, loved ones, employers, and organizations how to truly support someone who is affected by cancer. Hire Good Coaching, Becky Upchurch is a transition and growth coach and founder of Hire Good Coaching. She partners with high-achieving women to help them discover who they want to be in the world and what they most want from life, and design a plan to go after it, even if they have no idea where to start. Melissa Demple. Melissa Henry is a visual brand expert and owner of Melissa Demple Personal Brand Photography. Melissa creates powerful images for speakers, authors, and entrepreneurs to help them get seen by the right people so they can grow their brand, business, and their impact on the world. MSD Advisors. Where is she? There she is. MSD Advisors. Mary Sue Dayhill with MSD Advisors is hired by business owners who are tired of tedious administrative tasks eating up all their time. And what they want is to automate all those tasks so they can avoid the high cost of hiring and spend all that newfound time totally focused on growing their business. Ray Roach. Struggling with self-doubt and fear, mentor, coach, and speaker Ray Roach can help you uncover and embody your authentic truth and get onto the path of a purpose-filled life. Rita Made Me Do It. Rita Goodrow, owner of Rita Made Me Do It, is a business strategist and success coach who helps women go all in to build profitable businesses that support their dream lives. And last but certainly not least, Tira Strategies. Lisa Nichols is a go-to expert specializing in creating an online presence and greater visibility for small to medium-sized businesses through the use of social media, ultimately helping clients grow and attract new business. So thank you to sponsors. You can clap. Sit, stay. Get down from there. There is a gap of communication between people and their animal companions. My mission is to help bridge that gap. Now, most people have never really heard of a pet whisperer or animal communicator. In fact, in the 70s and 80s, we were more commonly referred to as pet psychics. For some people, when I introduce myself and I tell them what I do, and they say, "I've never heard of such a thing," or "I didn't know such a thing existed." And for them, that's the first time they've ever heard of a whisperer. My intention tonight is to share with you all and give you some insight into how we can all help build that bridge of communication with not only our animal companions, but with ourselves and with other people around us. We are all capable of what is known as intuitive communication. In fact, kids are great at it. One of my teachers, Nancy Windhart, says intuitive communication is our birthright. We are born with this ability. Then somewhere along the way, society tells us, nah, can't do that. That kind of communication is not possible. And so the ability weakens or fades, and we forget about it. Then, as we are going along, we rediscover that we do have that ability, and intuitive communication is possible between each other and between our animals. Now, once you start to learn and understand the key concepts and the principles behind it, all we need to do is practice and notice what we notice. We practice and see what results we get. And that's what we do. We just keep working on it. What I want to do tonight is I want to share with you some of those firsthand experiences that I've had with intuitive communication with animals. So for most people, they feel communication is speech. They take their dog to an obedience class, and they're taught the commands such as sit, stay, heel, or off, or leave it, take your pick, depending on what's taught. The directive of get down from there happens later. And that's what we feel communication is, speech and telling our pets what to do. But what about the animal's perspective? How do they communicate with us without speech? Animals are thinking, feeling, sentient, emotional beings who have their own opinion about the world around them in the body that they have. Which means there's no speech like we do. They can't talk like we do. So what do? What they do is their first line of communication is that they emote to us. They feel from a distance, which is also known as telepathy. It is defined as feeling from a distance. That's what it means, telepathy. And that's what they do. That's their first line. There are so many people who come up to me and say, I know my pet's trying to tell me something, but I don't know what it is. They're just staring at me. And that's exactly what happened with my own pets. I saw my dogs looking at me, looking at them, and I had no idea what they were saying or what they were thinking. But I knew there had to be a better way. There had to be a more effective way to communicate with them. And so that's when I decided to follow this thing called animal communication. And I found my first teacher, respected and awesome animal communicator, Janet Dobbs. And she's located in Reston. If an animal can't get their point across to you by feeling it, if they can't look at you and get their point across, then they'll move to a more physical cue. Think, for example, about the dog or the cat who hasn't been fed yet. Dinner time, where's dinner? And they'll look at you and they'll go over to their bowl and they might look at you, they might kick the bowl, they might snuffle around it, whine, meow. I'll give you another example. What about the dog or the cat who feels you have stayed in bed for too long and it's time for you to get up? And so what do? They might paw at the bed, they might get on top of you, they might whine, make some more noise, or lick your face. I know mine does. It paws at me all the time. But these are just the different ways that they're communicating with us. Penelope Smith is also one of my teachers, and she is the pioneer of the field of intuitive animal communication. She has laid the foundation of intuitive animal communication. She has also taught countless other animal communicators to educate others. She's passed down her teaching methods. And when I teach Penelope's basic class, there's a tenet and an exercise that are just crucial and foundational to intuitive animal communication. And the first pointer or tenet that she says is, your attitude towards animals will directly impact your ability to understand their point of view, because they are fellow beings. They are more than just the physical sum of their parts. They're beings. One of the exercises that Penelope does, and it's my absolute favorite, is an exercise called Becoming an Animal. And in this exercise, the students are guided to pick an animal at random. And usually it's an image, a picture, stuffed animal, something like that. And they're guided to pick one at random. Now, when I took this class with Janet, my choice was an ostrich. She had a bunch of Beanie Babies there on the table, and I thought, look cute. I don't know anything about ostriches. Why not? So I chose the ostrich, and in this exercise, you are guided through a visualization of what it's like to be this particular animal. You have the visualization of what it's like to be in their body. How do you communicate with others of your kind? How do you communicate with other species? How do you communicate with people? And how do people communicate with you? It's a real eye-opener when you really get into the nitty-gritty of it. When I was an ostrich, I can remember that as I communicated with other people, people would come up to me with this over-the-top coddling kind of attitude. And I would look at them and say, just talk to me. Like, why are you being weird? Just talk to me. And I decided, okay, from that moment, I need to do better. So when the exercise is done, people, they take a breath, they stop, they journal. And people usually come away with, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. And what I came away with from being an ostrich was, I am so sorry that people have treated you this way. And after then, my watershed moment was, I need to do better. I need to treat animals in a more respectful, dignified way. Now, it is worth noting that for the women who chose a fish-eating bird, like a penguin, pelican, and a flamingo, after this exercise, they noticed that they had a strong desire to go out for sushi that night for dinner. So, years later, when I was encouraged to do this as a profession, I also made it my mission to use the momentum of what I had learned and what I keep learning to educate people about their animals, what they're feeling, and how we can interact with them. I still have family members that will call me and say, hey, Hal, do dogs actually get depressed? And my answer is yes, they do. Or I'll have a family member say, can you tell me why or what the emotional state of my animal is? And my response to them is, okay, what's going on in the house? What's going on in the house that is impacting them? So, things like that. I stated earlier that my mission is to bridge this gap of communication and understanding between people and their animals. And what that means is I act as a mediator between the human and the animal, because my goal is to help them have a more harmonious home and to also have a more harmonious existence, because I want everybody to have that. One of the most profound I get chills thinking about this. One of the most profound situations I had was with a horse. And I get a call from a trainer, and she calls me into the barn, and this particular horse was having a hard time with her owner because the horse was sold as calm, but that was a false pretense because the horse was given sedatives to appear calm. And the woman who bought this horse was middle-aged, had been out of the riding scene for a long time, and was just getting back to it. And as you can probably imagine, things weren't working out very well. So I get to the barn, and as I'm working with this horse, as I'm communicating with her, and she's sharing with me that the reason why she was acting out, the reason why she wasn't doing what she was told is because with her previous trainer, her previous owner, she was reprimanded harshly for not doing what they wanted her to do. And it's not that she was being belligerent, it's just that she didn't get it. She didn't understand what was being asked of her. And so they reprimanded her for it. Once I got this story out, told her story to the trainer, and the trainer got it. This horse, who had her head up here in her normal head carriage, let out this big sigh of a release. And she just relaxed right there in the crossed ice. And that was a really neat moment. I called the trainer a few days later, and I asked, how are they doing? And the trainer said that the horse and the rider had the best lesson they'd had in a long, long time. And so we have a whole win-win situation here for everybody. The horse is no longer frustrated because her story was told. The trainer now knew how to best serve her clients, how to best work with them. And the owner was now spared the heartbreak of potentially having to rehome this horse that she fell in love with. And it was through that method of courtesy, compassion, and understanding of all beings to get this message across. So that was a big one. What I want to leave you with tonight is this. Our animals are fellow beings. They are not just some piece of property, and they are not just objects to bend to our will or have them do stuff. They're more than just objects that you teach a particular behavior to. And at the basics, when it comes to communicating with them, they get the intent. Words are just icing on the cake. And as you can tell, I'm sure, when you're sick, they know. When you're mad, they know. But either way, they're there to comfort you. We can also begin to communicate intuitively by following a couple of steps. First is clear your mind. Take a few deep breaths. Be free of judgment. Don't have any judgment or any expectations about this. Just be open to it. And stop thinking about the topic. Just blank slate. And be still for a moment. Breathe. Notice how in just about everything they always say breathe? Breathe. Breathing is fundamental. Relax. And stop moving. And allow yourself to learn new things. Be willing to have that new point of view. And this is just the basics of how you can begin to get started on using your intuitive sense. Because when we can start doing that, when we can expand how we communicate by using our intuitive sense, then we can begin to see truly that communication is more than sit stay, get down from there. It's a method that is truly filled with honor, dignity, and respect, not just for all beings, but also human beings. Thank you.